Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the tNb Gaming Podcast, coming live from the Game Pantry here on Sunday, the 25th of September. It is 8 o'clock in the evening, or it may be whatever time it is you're listening or watching this back. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in, joining us live, however you like to view the podcast. Hope you're well today, and had a reasonably quiet day today, which is nice. I had quite a busy day yesterday. Tonight, at some point in the next couple of hours, we'll be discussing our subject of the week with our special guests, and that is independent game shops. Because if you remember, a few weeks back, we did a show called The Price of Games, where we were discussing with an independent retailer, your friend of mine, Dana, about generally how things are pricing and how he's finding things. So what we thought tonight, we'd try and do a little bit of a twist on that, and we'd actually bring on a few people who use independent game shops, such as myself, but also as our panel as well, and our experiences and advice and tips and things we look for, and things we can recommend to you who may be thinking of doing it yourself. So hopefully you'll find this interesting and a nice balance in argument from where we were before. Now, we have a slight change to the lineup tonight because one of our guests has had to drop out at short notice. Not to worry, because we've had one of our tNb regulars on standby. He's going to come anyway and overcrowd the stream, he said. So he was going to be here anyway. But we have everybody, we have enough guests in tonight to go through this. And luckily, again, we've all had experience with independent game shops as well, so it should be good. So a little bit changed the lineup, but not to worry about that. Let's see who we got in the chat. People have been nice and early, which is good. 8-Bit Rach is here. Good evening, Rach. You're on the Four Guys chat on Friday with me and Al and Paul, etc. Susie's here. Hello, Susie. Nice to see you again. Hope everything okay with you. I'm here as well. That's a good start. Otherwise, we'd have to leave Sean in charge. That's one of those. We're never quite sure what's going to happen. Retro Claire's here. Good evening to you. Downstairs patrolling. Stu's here. Jen Pixel, YouTuber of the year, of course. Gordon Gib Gaming. Gib84. Hope you're okay, Gordon. Ian from the RGB Gaming Podcast. Good evening, Ian. Good to see you here. We've got Joe Gaming Girly in as well. Joe, lovely to have you with us once more. Hopefully, and I know you have experience with independent game shops as well, so hopefully you'll find this interesting. And also, Hawaii the Games, the worst Geordie accent possible. Good evening to Mark. Hope you're all right. So we're off and running. Right, so let's start by bringing our panelist in for this evening. Like I said, unfortunately, one of our panelists had to drop out, so you'll know this gentleman. He's been on here before. We had him on, I think, discussing, was it Disney games we had him on before? About 3-4 months ago now. And again, that was at short notice, but he's been planning this for a couple of weeks. I'm very pleased to say a good friend of mine, welcome him back to the tNb podcast. It is, of course, your friend of mine. It's the Ink Northerner. It's Paul, or is he known now as the Ink Trekker? After all that hiking he's been doing, you may have seen his recent videos. How are you, Paul? All right?
I'm all good. Yeah, all good. Yep. It's pretty much how I am all the time.
No, it's good to have you back on, mate. And this is a subject I know that you've got quite a vested interest in as well. So
yeah, it was a good subject this time. So
yeah. Well, certainly based around the road trips that you've been doing, you're taking a lot of these independent shops as well. So
yeah, good couple of road trips. The southern one was really good, and then me and Al did the Midlands one, and then me, Al, and Eddie pretty much have just done the northern one along with a couple of other people jumping in. They've been good, and been a lot of shops that I visited, so happy to give my opinion on this.
Good, lovely. Like I do about Mike. Question from Mark says he thought you only owned vests.
I only own shorts.
That's true.
In terms of vests, no. It's cooler now. We're out of the summer in the north of England now, so I can get away with a t-shirt.
So you just wear shorts now as opposed to shorts and a vest.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Broom tough up north, that's what it is. But yeah, great to have you back on again, mate. And we'll come back to you in a second. Steve, Cooper's World here. Steve, you must come on and pick a subject, mate. We must have you on. Dale's here as well. I haven't heard or seen Dale since the last podcast we did. If you remember, me and Sean literally overloaded Dale with as many racing games as we could think of in 2 hours. And I haven't heard from him since. So I presume he's either been working his way through them or he's got through the bottom of the list. But nice to see you back on again, Dale. Hope you're all right. Ink Trekker, is this a Star Trek special?
I don't like that Luke Skywalker guy.
Oh dear me. Well, that's been one of those evenings that shall be gone. Anyway, let's bring in our second panelist. He's climbed off his sick bed to be here, which we're very grateful for. Again, he can put he's a trooper. This guy. He can put a video out yesterday. Suffering from COVID all this week, so we're really pleased that he's made it. He's always here. It's Sean at Retro Games Revive. Good evening, mate.
Good evening, all. How are we doing?
I'm
getting there. I'm getting there with me. Red Thunder. I don't look at it poorly pop this time. It's Red Thunder. Aye. We'll see how it gets me through tonight.
If we can club together in a chat and try and get Sean some proper Red Bull, that would be a good start, I would have
thought. Sean's got some interesting energy drinks that he could in his fridge that he could go and get one and open it up and drink it.
We were just talking about that. He may well have a go. Yeah, there's no point in asking me how you are because obviously you haven't been well, but we are pleased to see you're on the mend. So
yeah, cheers. Yeah, it's one of them things, and twice in the space of a year, it's not often you do really get poorly twice in a year like that. But yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, luckily I've been on my days off. I've been on holiday days. I say luckily. I mean, I'd rather spend time doing something than be laid in bed. But I haven't had to throw sick or anything like that. Just chilled out at home. I've still got 3 days left, so hopefully can make use of those last 3 days before I'm back to work on Thursday.
Yep.
We'll see.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. As always, good to see you here. And I appreciate you coming on after the week you've had. Game Zone Bird Rooms here. Good evening, James. Hope you're okay.
James.
Jerry the Germ. I didn't make reference to Sean. No, I didn't type that in this week. I'm not doing it. Okay, last couple of episodes I've changed his name. That wasn't me. He's put that himself this time. Also, Dale, downloaded a few of the games. Still loads to go through. Yeah, there was a hell of a lot of games there, Dale. But that's good. And we've got Nick here as well, Red 7, all the way from Dubai. Good evening to you, or good evening, or morning, or wherever it is over there. Late at night, I expect. I know what the time difference is. Ray says you can claim your holidays back, Sean. Do that. Right, let's bring in our next panelist this evening. Nice to see him making a welcome return from the Lad Loft. Always good to have him here. And again, somebody who's got a few experiences with the old independent game shopping as well. So perfectly ideal to have him on. It's Pete Fighter 2. Good evening, mate. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. That's nice of you to ask. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm all right.
I always feel like nobody ever asks you back. That's why I always try to do it.
It's all right. I just link it all together, mate. And I am the cement between the bricks. I did say bricks. That's sort of sat in front of me, so I just hold it all together.
Well, I said before, I'm the Jerry Lawler of it. So, and you're the Michael Cole. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's it. But you've been okay? Cause it's been a few weeks since we've seen you, so everything all right? And
everything's fine. Yeah, I've just had a week off work. Just got another one coming up. So
fantastic.
I've had tons of time to play games, which you'll be happy about because I'll take about 3/4 of an hour over what you've been playing. But
you always got quite a few, haven't you? You always have got quite a few. And I never say don't talk about them all, do I? Say just you got to talk about what you want. That's it.
I'll keep it brief.
All right, mate. Do what you need to do. That's fine. No pressure. No pressure. That's how it is. We don't do like that.
Just want to bring it while it's fresh in my mind.
Yes.
With Sean's Red Thunder, where I work, which I'm not going to say where I work, in the interest of privacy, we sell an energy drink called Black Power.
Black Power.
Yeah.
It's slightly controversial. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got Mike Tyson's facial tattoo on the can. No joke.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that a specific brand to where you work?
No, it's not.
That's okay. That's right. I thought you might just giving it away there, but trying to be clear about saying it, then actually giving away the own brand of where you actually.
Even my company isn't that bad.
Oh dear me, that would have been quite good. That would have been funny. Anyway, lovely to have you on, mate. Good to see you back, and that's good. just a very good evening to my newest friend Mike at Malahide Club. If you aren't aware, Mike joined me and RetroKit on a local game hunt a couple of weeks back. Mike has just joined YouTube, so if you'd like to go across, he's put a pickups video up already. If you'd like to go across and give Mike a bit of support, and like I know you like to do, and I've always recommended in the past, it would be greatly appreciated to encourage him and start putting more videos out. So Malahide Club, if you want to go across there. I see Sean's busy writing it down.
Do it now. Do it now.
Yeah. Well, no. When we finished, ideally, not during the middle of a program, if you can help that, you know. But yeah, if you want to go across and have a look at Mike's channel, please feel free to do so and show him some support and get him involved in the old business of YouTube. So good to see you here, mate. I'm glad you popped in. Danny's here as well. Danny hates the retro gaming master. Hello, mate. Hope you're okay. Oh, there's a shot of Paul's midriff there. Anybody interested?
Yeah, I apologise.
That's all right. That's all right. At least a t-shirt fits anyway, so that's all right. That's the main thing. And we got somebody else. Yeah. So that's another Yorkshireman, but we're not going to go into that one. Oh dear. We have got somebody else coming. They're running a little bit late, but they will be here later. We'll drag him in. Right. Okay. So introductions aside, let's crack on. I'll start with you, Paul, because you are the guest. We do the rounds. What we've been playing recently. Any titles that you've had a go at or can recommend to the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls watching this evening and listening back when they are.
So yeah, one I would 100% recommend. I just finished it today. Is Plague Tale: Innocence. Fantastic game set in. I'm gonna guess. When was the Great Fire? 1600s France. It centers around a girl and her brother, and their family are nobles in France. Very, very good. Very kind of horror type game. But I would suggest if you don't like rats, don't play it.
Oh, that's good. What system's that on? You didn't mention which system it was.
So I've been playing it on the Xbox One, but I believe it's available across the board. I think it's definitely PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and Series X as well.
It's also on Game Pass.
Yeah, well, it's not on Game Pass now.
Is it not?
No, so I started it before we went on the road trip. I ended up having to buy a copy of it because I knew it was coming off when we were away. What else I played? I actually completed a Master System game, as we've spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
Not a difficult Master System game, but I wanted to complete at least one old system game as part of the 52 game challenge. So I completed Tasmania. I really like Taz as a character. Tasmania doesn't play very well on the Master System. It plays okay, but it's very basic. But I wanted to play a platformer just to prove that not all platformers drive me insane like Lion King does.
You like the Lion King? It's one of your favourite games ever.
The only other game that I've played to completion this month has been a game called Tiny Kin, which is probably one that that Nath would like because it's it's on Game Pass. It's on Xbox One, on Series X. I played it. It's very much like a Pikmin type game where you control different little tiny kings.
Tiny drinks.
Is it like Pikmin? Yeah. Everyone have a drink at home just out of interest. You never play the tNb game.
I actually mentioned that to Nath the other day. Actually, I saw a trailer for it, and it looks exactly like Pikmin.
It is. It is exactly like Pikmin. You get these little things, and they do different roles, and yeah, it's very much Pikmin, but a different sort of artistic style, I guess. And the only other game that I've played, and I've been playing it to death, has been Disney's Dreamlight Valley, which is a farming game, but with Disney characters.
Interesting.
It's an early access on Game Pass. It's available to purchase on the Switch. You can purchase the pre-order pack effectively, and you get a load of bonuses. It's still very much in its infancy, but Disney have thrown their weight behind it, so it's going to grow, I think.
As someone who doesn't like Disney at all, is it good?
I enjoyed it, but I like farming games though, Pete. So,
I do, yeah.
I enjoyed it. You don't necessarily realize that there are Disney characters, I guess. I mean, I despise Frozen, and I didn't mind playing with Anna and Elsa, whatever she's called, as my you kind of have, you give the characters a buddy type perk, and their perk, whenever you do something, gives you extra things, and it really didn't bother me playing with them. So I mean, it's on Game Pass, and I think you've got, from last time we spoke, you've got Game Pass, so just give it a try. It's worth it. Don't get me wrong, it's not Stardew Valley or anything like that, but it's still fun.
I don't really like Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons or anything like that, but I do love Stardew Valley. I really love Stardew Valley.
Did you like Animal Crossing?
Did I like Animal Crossing?
Yeah, you probably will like it. It's very Animal Crossing-esque.
Yeah, I've played Animal Crossing every day, at least once a day since the end of March.
I didn't see that in the but yeah, it's a good game. It's worthwhile having a crack at it. But even if you don't like it, just bin it off.
Well, it's free, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you say you got Disney characters on a farm, did you get to play one character, or do you sort of like get to put the entire Disney back catalogue into slavery and run your farm for you?
No, so you're essentially it's not a farm as such. You're essentially trying to free the Disney universe. So it's been taken over by Night Thorns, and this like a disease, I guess, a bit like COVID, called the Forgetting, and yeah, you've got to try and rescue different Disney characters, and then they become buddies for you. And it's not like it sounds like it's very complicated, but it's not. It's a decent enough game. It's worthwhile having a go at it. I think it's free on Game Pass, but I think for it on the Switch it's about 25 quid. But that gives you all of the early access bonuses as well.
I just like the idea of like making Mickey Mouse's life a misery and just making play fields all day.
Fortunately, it's not like that.
It's not for me then. Not for me, that one.
It would have been good if you could treat the Disney characters like the zombies in Graveyard Keeper, but no, it's not like that. I don't know whether you played it, but if you like farming games, Graveyard Keeper is a great game.
I've never heard of it. I'll have a look.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know. The Disney farming games just sound quite interesting, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a different spin on it. Nath here. Good evening, Nath. Hope you're all right. Retro Chef has popped in. Okay, Lee, hope you're all right, mate. Sure he's busy this evening. Right. And, yeah, we got Danny H. And Kingdom Hearts was an odd Disney game, says Rach. It certainly was. It didn't convince me in either wanting to play more Final Fantasy games or more Disney games, so we failed miserably, to be honest with you. Nice says Goofy gone to the glue factory. That's where they sent horses, not dogs. Goofy was a dog. Sure. Paul, thank you very much for recommending those. If there's anything there of interest, please do check them out. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Sean, moving swiftly on. Any horse games you'd like to recommend, or is there anything else that you've been playing?
No, what happened was I went on to PlayStation Plus yesterday. It was round about yesterday afternoon, and I thought there was nobody on COD at that time. But I thought I'll see what these on PlayStation Plus and see if there's worth playing, by myself. And I downloaded 2 games, though I've only had a chance to play one at the moment. First one it's a classic, it's a PS1 classic, Jumping Flash. Well, that's the one I haven't had a chance to play. The other one that I did have a little go on is the Wheel of Fortune. Ah, fantastic. Well,
I played that recently as well, Sean.
did you?
just the big hitters on this one, then, isn't it? You know,
Yeah. No, it's what it is. But computer players are just so crap. I know there's an online feature, but you've got to sign up to Ubisoft, their club or something. I can't remember exactly who did it, but you've got to register to their club, and I can't be arsed with that. So I just played against 2 computer players, and they were thick as pea shit. I was absolutely annihilating them. So much so, in fact, that I knew what answer, but I just carried on spinning just to try and get more points. But
that's no platinum though. That's the it doesn't have a platinum trophy.
All right. I don't go for trophies, so I would just, to be honest, I was just trying to kill a bit of time. To be honest, I was on it about an hour, but it's quite a slow progressing game, especially when you've got the computer characters taking their spin and choosing a letter and stuff like that. So you're waiting for your turn. You can skip it, but I just let it play through. But yeah, I won the game show and I nearly won a car. I won an holiday, and yeah, I won the big prize at the end.
Where are you going to then?
Italy.
Oh,
mate.
that's good. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I'll send us a postcard. Nath actually wanted to know whether you won a brand new 1996 Toyota Corolla. Has Nath been watching Netflix at all recently, or in the last 12 months or so? That sounds strangely familiar to a program that I watched on there. I'm not going to bring it up; it might be too obscure. There we go. And James says, obviously, playing against a computer makes you feel smarter.
Yeah, it does.
You should have taken the car. Says Nath. No, I nearly did say Netflix, didn't I? So is that it, mate? Have you
That's it.
You've been playing? Yeah. Okay.
I should have been playing Fall Guys yesterday, but I.
2 or 3 people said they were going to turn up and didn't bother. Not going to mention any names, Chile, but anyway. The best Disney game of all time has got to be Toy Story 2, says Dale are going up.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah,
it is a good game.
Yeah, I don't think I played that one, but there we go. Right, Pete, what have you been playing?
I'll try and keep it brief. Yeah, I've been working my way through the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. I've worked through 3 of those games, should I say. The original Turtles arcade game, followed by Turtles in Time, followed by Hyperstone Heist on the Mega Drive. I finished the 3 of those because I just consider those kind of a trilogy. And yeah, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed by the first one, the first arcade game, because I'd not played it for a long time, and I think the memories I had were from Turtles in Time, actually, because it just feels a little bit basic compared to that. And yeah, I don't know why, but I must have played Turtles in Time more as a kid. But yeah, I really loved Turtles in Time, and I really loved Hyperstone Heist because I'd never played that up until now. And it feels more like a sort of Sega or Capcom beat 'em up compared to the arcade ones. Like the enemies react more to being hit and stuff like that. It lets you like chain combos together a bit more without being interrupted. So yeah, really enjoyed playing those 3. I think I'm going to put that collection on the back burner a little bit because they were the 3 games that I really wanted to play on that. Yeah, I've been starting to play through the Morph Cat collection on the Evercade. Played through a little like platform puzzle game called Bobble. Morph Cat make like modern games for retro systems, so these are all NES games I've been playing. Bobble's like you're like a little bubble, and you're like floating on water, and you can sort of duck underwater, and then you hold A down, I think it is, to duck underwater, and then you release it to go back up, and you'll sort of fire out the top to jump over obstacles and stuff. And if you like hit dry land, you'll burst and lose a life. So you've got to like avoid dry land at all costs, and you're going through like a Metroidvania style level, trying to find a number of rubber ducks along the way. Just to collect. It's only one level. It can be done in like literally 5 minutes if you don't go for the ducks, but I went and collected all the ducks. Oh, it still took me about half an hour. But it was like it's just a nice little game. It's nice to see what people can get out of the NES still nowadays, because like the physics are really good. Even like the water physics look really great.
Oh, yeah.
And I also played Micro Mages on there, which I had played before. It's like a little like 2D platformer thing. It's designed to be played with 4 players. I'm not sure how you achieve that on a NES, but there must be a way. But yeah, it's like a little platform game where you start at the bottom of a tower and the camera's scrolling upwards, like in some of the Mario levels. It would scroll to the right, and you've got to essentially like get to the top of the tower without dropping off the bottom of the level and without getting killed by the enemies. And then there's like boss fights at the top. Really good, and it was made like with the limitations of like the original NES games, like only 40 kilobytes. So it's really good to see what they could achieve in 40 kilobytes of data. It's mental.
I've not played it. Each mage has a different power, doesn't it? As well. I've only watched the video.
No idea. I've only ever played it on one player, so I have no idea.
I've not played it, so I can't comment. But
it is really good.
Full mage have a different power.
It's a lot of fun, and I finished like the normal mode, but it's one of those games where some of the levels are locked out of the normal mode unless you play it on hard. So instead of saying it's completed, I've kind of started playing it on hard now. Hopefully, I'll get through it. Yeah, apart from that, I've played a game called Bud Spencer and Terence Hill's Slaps and Beans, which is a beat 'em up on the Switch. It's based on 2. I don't know if I talked about it on this, but it's based around 2 actors from Italian films from like the 60s to the 90s, I think it was. They were like a double act, and they were like household names in Italy, but never famous anywhere else. And,
what the hell?
Yeah. They started off doing like Western films, and they moved on to like cop dramas and stuff, and like buddy comedies and things like that. And this game like starts off in a Western setting and carries on through those kind of different genres.
I'm almost intrigued now to go and play this. Just to check it out.
I honestly think I've watched a few clips of their films, and I honestly think it's the type of stuff that you'd get a kick out of. Actually, Bear.
Oh, well, okay.
There's like they're famously scene where there's like. It's in a Western thing, and they're in like a bar, and they're about to have a bar fight, and every time the bad guy goes to draw his gun, he like slaps him in the face, and it's like goes on for ages, and it's like just every time he tries to grab his gun, he like slap his hand out and slap him in the face like really quick, and I think that's probably where they got the name of Slaps and Beans from. But yeah, it's quite a good. It's a good beat 'em up, but it's like it combines other things like there's a top down racing section like rock and roll racing. There's like a rhythm action thing where you're eating hot dogs, like you're having a hot dog eating contest and stuff. And it's it just blends everything in. It's got a really good soundtrack too.
What's it called again?
Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, Slaps and Beans. Right. I had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea either.
I had no idea about this until I got that Go Straight book about beat 'em ups, and it was in there, and I thought I have to give that a try. But yeah, I finished that. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I've played through as much as I can. I can call it finished. I think I've played through Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls 4. But I tried to do it as quick as I can. It still took me 60 hours. It's umpteen times I finished that game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's way better than Skyrim. If anyone wants to have a kind of more modern comparison. I don't really want to get too far into it because it's just a massive, expansive game. But I've done every guild. I've done the main quest. I've done a lot of the side quests. I've completed the arena. I've done 60 hours in that game over the last couple of weeks. And it's just still outstanding. From 2006, I think it came out. It's still really, really good.
Has it been as long as that? Good grief.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been like 10 years since Skyrim came out.
Skyrim.
You're going to be
Skyrim,
about another 4 years before the next one comes out as well.
Yeah.
They're just they're based on everything I'm reading. They basically want everything to be super dialed in, and they want to make sure that it's a perfect Elder Scrolls game. So I think we're going to be looking at least another 4 or 5 years before the next one.
It's the thing is though, it's part of the charm of Bethesda games is the glitches. It's like everything goes wrong, and everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it's just part of the fun of it. Yeah, the last one I've been through is I've just started it late hours of last night. And I played a couple of hours of it today. That's Stray, the cat game on the PS5.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't play it at first because it came out digitally a few weeks ago on PlayStation Plus, and I held off for the physical copy of it. So I am a bit behind the times on that, but it's she thinks fast traveling is cheating.
I thought you might want to see that. Yeah, just
yeah. Stray. It's just I've played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of it, and it's fantastic, and it's so like the way how the cats move and stuff. It's so realistic. It's just got a hell of a lot of charm. It's like a sort of action adventure game, but it's mostly non-violent, and you're just a cat parkouring across like a dead city where there's no people left and it's just robots, and they've never seen a cat before, and so it's like they're all terrified of you at first and stuff. It feels like one of those games that's going to be absolutely special to me, and I'm going to like rave about it for years to come. But
it's
that's just me.
Sean, you should download that, play that. It is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
And this is the glorified Xbox boy.
Yeah.
For a PlayStation game, it is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he looks thoroughly excited about it, doesn't he? Rush away.
But yeah, that's about where I'm at. I hit number 60 with Oblivion. I hit number 60 in my 52 game challenge thing, but it's also not including the arcade games and one game that I cheated on. It's 52 legitimately completed games now, so I can say even by Eddie's rules, I can say that I've done the 52 game challenge. Didn't you pass yours this week as well, Paul?
Yeah, just today I finished Plague Tale Innocence today. That took me to 52.
Mark passes in March, I think. So that's good going as well. So yeah,
Mark's passed by 2024 now.
That's great, mate. As always, some really interesting games. I know what we really laughed and joke about it earlier, but you always bring out some games that I've never heard of before, and I'm sitting here thinking, you know what, that sounds quite good. That so it's always good when you come on and reel off what you've been playing. So hopefully, like myself, there'll be a few people out there sitting there thinking, "Oh, that sounds quite good." That we've nearly sold
Slaps and Beans.
Yes, they should do. We've almost sold short on the idea of playing a stray cat game as well, but we'll carry on working on it. Yeah. Just going back to the chat, Games and Bird Room asked about when's the next Fall Guys coming up. Probably going to be a couple of weeks, James, because I think there's Blackpool next weekend, so I think a lot of people will be doing it. So probably going to be looking, a couple of weeks' time, but we'll let you know anyway. James Retro Import Game is here as well, which is good to see. Hope you're okay, James. Bud Spencer, etc. Are they like the Italian Cheech and Chong? Possibly.
I heard them before I played that.
It was Cheech and Chong.
And Tommy Chong.
They're like a stoner. They're a stoner double act from like the 70s.
Yeah, but you've seen From Dusk Till Dawn, I assume.
Yeah.
You know where the guy, forgive me, Russ, I'm going to go a bit blue here, but where he goes, warm pussy, soft pussy, wet.
Yeah.
That's Cheech Marin.
Oh, is
He's
it?
one half of Cheech and Chong. Yeah, they're a stoner.
All right.
But yeah, I've heard that comparison like when I was reading about them before I played the game, but they were nothing like Cheech and Chong other than the double act.
I was going to say, when you said it as you from dusk till dawn, I really think he was going to sit there saying, yes, I'll get it first thing in the morning, and I'll sit there until he goes to bed at night, and as opposed to actually talking about the film. So there we go. Right, what have we got? Dylan's here, and he's got some more information about Slaps and Beans, the PlayStation 4 strictly limited games put it out. So there is a physical copy available. The Elder Scrolls perfect Elder Scrolls games are full of glitches. Yes, Pete. No, says Nath.
Mm-hmm.
I had to read this one twice before I read it out. Bethesda says Generation Pixel putting out a working game. Make that 20 years. And I had to read that 3 times before I said something I wasn't planning on saying, but there we go. Daggerfall had... Sorry, Paul?
Sorry, Bethesda have only ever developed 3 game series. They produce a lot of stuff, but they don't dev anywhere near as much as people think. I just think people get that Bethesda name slapped on everything.
It's the same with the WWE games. Everyone's blaming like 2K for how bad they are, but 2K just published them. They, like, people don't seem to be able to differentiate between developers and publishers.
Daggerfall had no bugs at all, says Nath. The Evil Within games were good, but then Tango Gameworks made them. Bethesda just published them. James enjoys Evil Within. Great game. Is it like COD? Possibly not. Dylan said it's exactly the same. So there we go. Pedro is here. Pedro says, watch Cheech and Chong films back. They're awful. You need to be caned to enjoy them. Straight garbage.
Kind of the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah, he's probably about right. I don't think they've aged particularly well. Well, I don't think particularly well regarded at the time anyway. You could have said the bartender in Desperado, Paul. You just wanted to say cat-related things.
I could have said the uncle in that other rubbish film that he made, the kids film. I can't remember what it's called now off the top of my head, but Spy Kids. But yeah,
that's Danny Trejo, wasn't it?
No, the Cheech Marin's in Spy Kids as well.
Oh, right. Okay. I've never seen it. I just know it was. He played Machete in Spy Kids, didn't he?
Yeah, effectively, yeah.
Yeah, I just something on the
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Right, there we go. So we're up to date with the comments. Okie dokie. So that's what everybody's been playing this week. If you found some of those games of interest to you, or you played them before, you want to go and play them, you'll have some things to keep you occupied between now and the next episode. But as we've done all that, and our other panel member hasn't turned up yet, we're going to crack on with our subject of the week. I still haven't thought of a better title for that. I really think of a better title. It's not subject of the week. We don't do it every week, do we? This episode's title is we're going to be talking about independent game shops. As I said right at the top, we did a program a few weeks ago about I had an independent game retailer on, and we're going to try and do it in reverse because we all use independent game shops. I'm lucky enough to have 6 very, very close at hand to me here, but I know Pete's used independent game shops before, and obviously Paul and Sean have been part of a couple of road trips around it. So I'm coming to you first, Paul. I mean, a lot of the road trips that you've done are based around finding out all these little independent game shops all over the place and paying them a visit to see that one they're about, isn't it?
So yeah, that is pretty much what it started off with. I think it was just Al and Sean originally, the Southern road trip, and I said to Al, well, I've got holidays from work. It's kind of close to when I get my work bonus. I'll jump in. And Al did really well organising the Southern road trip. The amount of shops that we went into were just fantastic. There's so many independent game shops all around. Unfortunately, it seems to be kind of you kind of have the south of England and then a big gap until you get to the Midlands area where you are, Russ, and then another big gap, and then further north on the coasts. But I would say that on the 3 road trips that we've had, myself and Al did the Midlands road trip, and actually we didn't go into what I would consider the 2 best shops in the Midlands because they weren't open. But I've had a look of experiencing quite a lot of these independent game shops, and it's important that everybody, if they've got an independent game shop on their doorstep, that they need to go and visit these places. And even if you don't put your money into the shop, just give it word of mouth. make people aware that it exists, because we kind of need them, Otherwise, all you've got is CEX and Game or Facebook Marketplace and eBay, and people have bad opinions of them. I must admit, I don't think I've been into any of these game shops and had a bad opinion about any of them that we've been into.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about them is the fact that if you try to base the trips that you've been doing, and I don't want to keep referring to, we don't want to talk about the road trip, we want to talk about the retailers as such, although it does tie the two tying together. That if you did a road trip based around going to CEX all the time and all the different CEXs and games and etc. up and down the country in cash converters, whatever, it'd be a bit, you wouldn't find it. With the independent game shops, you tend to find that they cater for the complete range. And in mine and Sean's case, obviously we like the old 8-bit stuff, don't we, Sean? So I mean, we're going way back with that. So if we find stuff like that there, it's always a bonus. And even they retail the modern stuff as well. So you can go in there and buy the modern stuff, but you could also buy the retro stuff as well. I mean, I know you've been on a couple of these as well, Sean. I mean, you do love these places where you can just go in there and find the obscure, can't you?
Exactly. And it's amazing, some of these shops, these independent shops, they're absolutely packed to rafters with, everything retro. And we're not just talking games, talking toys, memorabilia from films, TV, anything retro. It's amazing to enter some of these shops and be quite overwhelmed with just how much stuff there is. And the road trip, the southern road trip, we had limited time, really, didn't we, Paul, in some shops, which really we only just scratched the surface with. You could have spent hours in some of them shops digging through the mountains of stuff that they've got on these shelves, and they're fantastic. And it's also the people that are running these independent, they've got a lot of time for you as well. More often than not, they're very knowledgeable. They'll certainly help you out. If you're after something specific, they'll certainly try and help you out, which I don't think you really get from like Game and CEX. Tend to be a lot of young'uns and probably not into retro gaming as much as like the independent retailers are. But it's just fantastic. And like I said, all right, there's still a bit of a gap with 8-bit stuff, I find. If there is some 8-bit stuff, it's usually a little section. But I think shops are beginning to realise that 8-bit, is turning into as popular as other stuff, SNES, Mega Drive and that. Your local shop was in there, that's going to start displaying more 8-bit stuff. So,
from what I've heard, yes.
Yeah, so hopefully other shops will see that and take that on board. I think with a lot of shops, it's space. I know Saw Thumbs is struggling for space, and I think David Retro Games, badly said, is even considered looking in the city centre of York for a shop because he wants something bigger. He's just got that much stuff, and even though the rent might be more, I believe he does make enough that he'll cover that and still do well. So there is scope as well. But and Doorway to Darkness as well, Paul, you were on about extending, weren't they, or moving premises?
I'm laughing because when we were outside Doorway to Darkness, Al interviewed Sean, and Sean, I don't think I'll put it in his video actually. Sean was adamant there'd be no 8-bit stuff. Yeah. And then the full Billy bookcase full of 8-bit stuff. He walked round the shop and then suddenly spotted it, and he's like a whole Sean.
Doorway to Darkness has already expanded though, hasn't it? Because we went last summer. Me, Sean, Yeah, me, Sean, Eddie, and Craig all went
Craig.
last summer, and it was in Conisborough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was like a cupboard. It was just a cupboard there, basically, just like
Yeah,
with a stack of stuff in the middle, and you just walk around it. But I know they have got bigger, haven't they? And there seem to be there's a lot of people I've seen on Instagram are going to visit the new shop, so they must be making a name for themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
he moved into this new shop, and then he's got 2 rooms in this new shop. But even so, he's had to rearrange it all since the last time I was in there, and his Xbox stuff's now in a different room because he's just no room for games.
Okay. I'm going to jump in, fellas, because our other panelist has turned up. He's getting pneumonia sat there, so just give me 1 second, and I'll bring him in, and I'll do some comments, and then we'll carry on talking. It's good evening to Eddie at Roller Court. Good evening, Eddie.
Yeah, a bit chilly, but
Yeah, sorry, mate. I did see you sitting there, but obviously we were in the midst of a conversation. Are you all right?
I'm just burning some tapes down here just to keep myself warm.
They're bad ones.
Just Spectrum, I think it is.
That's okay. You can burn those. It's all right. No one cares too much about that. Thanks for coming on, mate. I know you said you were running a bit late, but good to have you anyway. Well, I'll just go through these comments, and then we'll pick up where we were with Pete in a second, because I don't want to miss anything there. James said there's absolutely nothing up in the Highlands at all in terms of independent shops. Rach said there's bugger all in Manchester as far as she knows as well. Some of them,
So I think she commented a little bit later. There is what's it called? Replay in Ashton.
Ashton, yeah, nearest one to me as far as I know is in Ashton, yeah.
And then you've got Eclipse in Blackpool, and then probably Lee's Games in Morecambe. They're the ones in the northwest that I'm aware of that are within a reasonable driving distance for me. But then I can get to the ones nearer Sean and near yourself within an hour and a little bit, so it's not too bad if you drive.
As Dylan says there, none in Liverpool that I know of or in Manchester. But like I said, if people can think of any while they're going along with the conversations going, type in the chat. We can always highlight those to people who go in along. Dylan said there's some in Liverpool.
If Dylan's going to play Blackpool, I would suggest that he tries to get up to Morecambe to look at Lee's Games. Eddie will second this. It was a very good shot with a lot of stock. Lots of stock.
James said
not just your usual rubbish. It was stock that you wouldn't see. Sorry, Ross.
No, it's okay, Paul. Sorry. I'm just talking over you, mate. Sorry. I thought you'd finished. No, my bad. James said Isle of Wight was good for retro shops and a CEX. Danny says he's got 3 independent game shops not far from him. One in the town I live in, and a few retro toy and comic shops. I love when Rach types something. It's always good. Someone was asking me about gaming and started saying about 8-bit, but she was like, "Oh, like Angry Bird." I love Angry Bird. Neither of us knew what the other was talking about.
That's like when I was at work a while back, and I was talking to someone. I mentioned that I like wrestling, and this last I was talking to was, "Oh, I love wrestling. Yeah, wrestling's great. I watch it all the time." And I'm like, "Oh, which wrestling do you watch?" Then she's like, "Total Divas."
What?
It's a reality TV show based on like the women wrestlers. For those who don't know.
Yeah, no idea. I was like, no idea. That's the least most wrestling program ever, surely. Plenty of CEX and crack converters near me as well, says Danny. Nice says staff in most modern game shops are too young to know what a cassette is, Sean.
Yeah,
I work with somebody who got no idea what a cassette was. And I bought a load of games a couple of years ago, and he brought them into work for me. And I said, look at these. He goes, well, what are they? I said, they're games. He said, what, computer games? I went, yeah. So they're on tape. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joe says, barely any retro game shops in Sussex. I'm almost done on the Let's Take a Look Round videos that she's done. Quite a few of those. York City ain't so big. Whereabouts is Store Thumbs? We'll come to that in a second. Nate's got a couple close to him as well. Dale says, James and Jem at Doorway to Daughters are super dedicated, but I think a bigger shop would require more dedicated staff, especially now that they have a website. What have we got here? Boothie says, I've only had one bad experience in a retro game shop, and that was when me and my brother got accused of stealing. It was back in 2015, and I won't ever go back to that shop ever again. Pedro said Xbox on the shelf takes up too much real estate for £2 a go. Tapes burn too quickly. You've got 2 in Shanklin Retro Arcade, Retro and Hobby, 1 in Ride called Outland, and 2 in Newport CX. And can't remember what little retro shop called. Oh, and Game as well. That's up in the far reaches of Scotland. There we go. And with the electricity prices uncapped for businesses, I can see many closing soon. Also, the retro gaming market is going down in value. Value point, Pedro. I'd like to get to that in a short while. Picking up where we were just talking about experiences with independent game shops. Pete, we got round to yourself before we got Eddie onto the stream. What about yourself? How have you found them?
Well, because I'm a bus wanker, I only really go local. So we've got a couple in Sheffield. Well, we've got, 3 maybe in Sheffield, if you can call them that, and then 1 in Rotherham. And unfortunately, they're not the best. It's there's 1 in Crystal Peak Shopping Centre. It's like a little market stall, and I've only been there once, just literally 2 days before lockdown started. I've never gone back. But that didn't have a lot because half the shop was dedicated to Funko Pops. But what they did have was really well priced, and the woman running the shop, she had no idea what she was doing, bless her, but she was really as helpful as she could and friendly as she could be. But the one that everyone talks about in Sheffield is Game and Movie. It's been there ages. It's just outside. It's about half an hour outside of Sheffield by bus. And to be honest, it is like a proper...
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Is that one we went to, me, you and Eddie?
Yeah, where you got your PlayStation from, your
Crash Bandicoot one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice shop. It's like a proper Aladdin's Cave kind of thing. It's like basically the bottom floor of a house that's just been converted into a shop. So there's 2 rooms and they're absolutely full of stuff. It's just that the staff seem to treat customers as a bit of a sort of a bit of a inconvenience rather than something they actually want through the doors. You ask them a question and they're just like, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. And the prices aren't that good either. I'd say it's probably still worth going to. Apparently they did the thing that I sort of measure all independent shops. I measure their worth by this. They apparently turned down the Gebbs' request for a discount. Because I saw it in Doorway to Darkness. I've seen it in a few shops, a little picture of them with the Gebbs, and it's she's notorious for asking for a discount in exchange for a YouTube video. So apparently they turned it down for that, even though she has done a couple of YouTube videos there. The other one that we've got close by, the big one, is Entertainment Station in Rotherham, and it's kind of run by college students because everything is in Rotherham. And it's I know I'm quite often the youngest guy there, and they're a damn sight younger than I am. But they still sort of talk down to you as if they know more than you do about the stuff you grew up with. So I don't know, it kind of puts me off. And whenever my wife's been in to look for stuff, they've kind of really talked down to her because she's female and she can't possibly know what she's talking about. So it kind of, I've said I'm not going to shop there again because last time she went in to trade a Switch Lite for the Animal Crossing limited edition Switch. And they tried to shortchange her on the trading value, expecting her to not know what she was talking about, even though she'd had an email from the manager telling her a certain value the night before.
Really?
So it's
that's horrible, isn't it? That's terrible.
Yeah. They fixed my Amiga. For what it's worth, it's broken again now, but they fixed it. So, they do run a good service when, for what you can get done there. But it's just the attitude of the staff I don't like. It's the same in both places, actually. It's just the attitude of the staff. But I've been in other, I've been to not actually being in the shops, but I've been to stalls from Japanese Allen and stuff like that, at Doncaster and things like that. And those people couldn't do any more for you. So I think it's just like a sort of South Yorkshire thing. Where the shops here, they're all like the sort of the comic shop in The Simpsons, where they just don't want to serve customers, or if they do, they think they sort of know more than you do. So yeah, not great around Sheffield. The only other one really is I think it's called Outpost something or other, Outpost 52 or something in Sheffield. and it's just sort of like a kind of all-encompassing retro shop, and it's just got like one sort of corner for games, and the stuff there wasn't too uncommon, and also they were selling the same stuff at CEX a couple of streets away for like £5 less. So yeah, I don't like to be sort of the Debbie Downer of the group, but the experience around here at least, not great.
Okay. I mean, Pedro's also gone about that, saying there's some with appalling customer service. Or they just speak highly of Nick at Vintage Game. He will always cut you a deal. I was in there yesterday. He did exactly the same for me. Nathan makes a very good point here. He said thinks the Gebs have been to your local game shop. Well, ironically, when I went into Vintage Gaming yesterday, they had a tidy up because apparently they had a famous YouTuber in there. It wasn't me. But they did say that it was a female YouTuber, so I put two and two together, and I thought, yeah, I know who's been in there this morning. I mean, obviously, it must be a big YouTuber to make them tie the shop up. But
did they give them a discount at all?
Well, I don't know. If I'd have known about that, I'd have asked Nick yesterday and said, "Do you give her a discount as well?" She comes in and does all the tidying up anyway.
Every week, or.
But when I went 2 weeks ago, I mean, half the floor was covered in stuff, but they had a good tidy. Everything had gone in the cabinets, everything was off the floor, and they had a tidy because I found stuff in there that I couldn't find 2 weeks ago. So they had been sorting things out.
I just want to say it's only a rumor that the Gebs asks for these discounts. The opinions expressed do not reflect the opinions of the TNB.
Only Pete, yeah, only Pete.
Only me, yeah. I can't stand this page.
I'm waiting for the Hidden Chest Gaming video from it. That'll be fun.
What about yourself, Eddie? Experiences with independent game shops?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, up until recently, I've always kind of like sort of stayed away from them. I've been to a few. There used to be one in Manchester in Affleck Palace, which is like in the town centre, in an alternative like sort of like shopping centre. Probably the best way to describe it. It was on the top floor, and everything was so overpriced. If something was 30 quid, they'd be selling it for 60, or at least attempting to. It was just ridiculous. But I think we just got a lot of passive trade from like just people that was coming to Manchester for the day, just wanted some kind of random souvenir of the past. And I think that's where they got most of the trade from. So like a lot of the independent game stores. Oh, hang on. Someone's ringing me, of course. So yeah, like a lot of the independent game stores have always been like a bit overpriced, as Pete says, a little bit snotty and everything. But it was when I came to the Midlands when everything changed, where it was like if someone was saying they're going to go game store hunting, I was like, yeah, I'll come along, but never really excited for it. But when we went to Vintage Gamer and old school gaming, them two guys, even if you didn't buy anything, if you bumped into them, it just made the trip worthwhile. And sometimes that's just what you want, innit, when you go game hunting. It's about having a bit of a laugh with people who's like-minded.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I said when I was in Vintage Game yesterday, everybody came to the door, whether Nick knew him or not, or he was talking to him and saying, "Hello, mate, how you doing? You know, anything you need, give us a shout." There's one guy been in there for the first time, and this is exactly what we're talking about, customer service. This guy had come in for the first time, so he'd come in with his other half, and she said, "Oh, he's been meaning to come here for 4 years." And he said, "Well, he said that this is how it works. If you want to buy a game, he says, I'll do your price," and he says, "but it'll be, you know, a fair price. But if you buy 3 or 4 different things, I'll cut you a deal. You'll get a better bargain for it. You know, I'll still, you know, get what I want from it, but you'll get a far better price than anybody else." And he even said he's probably the cheapest retro game shop in the UK.
No, and that's because he does. That's it. He does great deals. He works with you as well, and like you can, if you have a bit of a banter with him, he'll probably do like some kind of challenge. If you win this challenge, you can get it cheaper. If not, you got to pay a bit more.
Yeah,
and
toss a coin
like that.
Yeah, I'll flip you for it. He said heads or tails.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Or he'll play a game with you sometimes as well. That's another thing I've seen him do.
I've not seen that one.
But yeah, like, and then you get the other spectrum where it's like Lee in Solar Forms, where it's like you won't even get 10p off a game. There's not even a chance. In fact, if you take a game and he thinks it's too cheap, he'll put £1 on, £1 or £2 on.
That's violating trading laws, that is.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, Store Funds does get good stock. So I mean, it's a hard thing. A good game shop doesn't mean it's going to be good prices. Sometimes a good game shop is you're going to come away with something, and Store Funds is pretty much that kind of a shop. I only visited there for the first time the other day, but I've been watching from the Instagram afar, and some of the stock that he gets in there is insane. It's really good.
Mm. Yeah, good. A couple of people mentioned going back to sort of pricing and stuff. Joe's got a comment here which says, there we go. I love supporting my favourite retro game shop in Brighton, which is Magic Whistle Gaming. I will never knock them down in price. They had the best prices anyway. Quick question for everybody in the panel, as Steve's asked it. Anybody going to Blackpool? Quick show of hands. Anybody going to Blackpool? 1, 2.
Oh,
2
is
out
that
of 5. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
But they're not a big venue. Just 2 of you going.
Sean's not allowed. Every time he leaves Yorkshire, or every time he leaves his hometown, he gets ill. So he's going to stay.
That's just a Yorkshire thing. I try not to leave Yorkshire.
Danny says 2 of my local game shops are pretty good. Retroformers and most know Retro Hunter Ali for his great customer service. Going back to the Vintage Gamer, Dale says you don't even ask Nick for a discount if you're buying enough. Friendliest owner, which Mike agrees with as well.
I've never asked Nick for a discount. I've never said. I always just ask him, "Can you give me a price on this?" And he gives me a price, and it's all the fair price. You never have to ask him for a discount. If you're buying enough, you will get it at a price that you want it at. In my opinion.
I tend to get a price from him and then look like I'm having a stroke, and then he knocks some money off for me, so it's all right.
You could go the Al approach. When he gives you a price, you then knock it down by about 50 quid and try to start from there.
Yeah, Al lowballing somebody on prices, what? Never, surely not.
That's how you get big game collections, isn't it? You've got to do a bit of lowballing sometimes.
Yeah, you have to.
If they say no, they say no, isn't it? So
that's all they can do at the end. Are they going to say no? Okay, they say no. Fair enough. That's how it works.
You've got to lowball the prices as well, because otherwise you're never going to make a profit when you sell your whole collection a couple of weeks later.
Dale's going back to Saw Thumbs. Well, I can't say that was that impressed with Saw Thumbs. Price is not expensive, but nowhere near as cheap as shops near me, and wouldn't do a bulk deal. Okay, so we've got a fair mixture of things in there. I've heard that as well. Quite a few people have mentioned that about bulk deals. But again,
you've got to spend a fair bit of money in Saw Thumbs to get some kind of deal, I think.
You might get that belt, that heavyweight belt.
Yeah, that's one of my goals as a game collector, is to get that heavyweight belt. I've never actually been in Saw Thumbs, but it just happens I've not been to York since I started collecting properly. So now I've stopped collecting. So I don't know if I ever will, but yeah, it is I've seen Birdsall's had it at least once, that belt, so I need to get it.
He asked to be taken, have a picture taken with it. That's what it was.
I think Vintage Gamer has to do the opposite and have like the tight get of the day belt, where it's like tied up to the last notch.
I would win it every time.
The amount of times I've gone into a game shop and walked around for like 2 hours and then come out with
I'm just browsing.
Yeah. Joe said a lot of retro gaming shops tend to do a great deal when you get a good pile of stuff. Pedro says Saw Thumb prices stink. I've been asked to ask Eddie about fishing and games. Ask Eddie about fishing and games.
Fishing and games? I don't know.
No, I don't know either.
I really don't know. I probably should know.
The guy for thumbs, York is not a cheap place to have a premises.
No,
especially nowadays, and his rates and things like that. I get that, his prices could be higher. I've been in 4 times now, I think, and I've always left with something. It's never been something expensive, but I'm just. It's okay bashing him on his prices, but he everybody's right. He doesn't do a deal, but sometimes his prices aren't as bad as people make them out to be, and he is in a very expensive city.
Mm. Well, this sort of moves into an area I want to sort of cover as well. I mean, we don't want to be sitting here bashing these shops because they provide this wide range of games and consoles and peripherals that we probably couldn't get anywhere off eBay, and at least with places like this, you can actually go in and see the items. So for me, having that's a shop like that where you could actually go in and physically look at these things and inspect them properly is a massive bonus, and that's why I'm very grateful for the shops we have around here, because every single one of them has got a wide range of stock that I'm interested in. So my next question to everybody is going to be what attracts you to these independent retailers, and I'll start with Paul.
So it's a combination of things. So it's the stock that these places have, and then the level of conversation you can have with people. So I'm one of the lucky people. I can go into my local CEX and have a good conversation with the guys in there. You know, they know I'm a gamer. They know I'm, you know, every time I go in, if I pick something up and it's not got a manual, they're going to tell. They're not even going to bring it to the till for me to pay for it. That kind of thing. But when you go into somewhere like Nick's, or you go into, you know, the one we were in Morecambe, Lee's, I think it was called. You know, the conversation, these people who just want to, they'll go out of the way to have a conversation with you rather than just kind of, oh, use another customer sort of thing. So James at Doorway to Doorness, he'll go out of his way to have a conversation with you. And it's that I like to have the banter with these people, and it's that's probably what attracts me more than if you go to, you know, your local game. You're not going to get that level of conversation with somebody out at your local game, especially not the one in Lancaster. Eddie, was it we went into?
Oh, bloody hell. The one that's on 2 shelves.
Yeah, so it's that attracts me. It's the stock and the level of conversation you can have with these people. Price is irrelevant for me. If I get a pile of games and I take it to a till and they're not priced up, and he gives me a price I'm not happy with, I'll not buy them. And you have that choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's just the ability to, the kind of, I guess, the chemistry that you have with the people behind the till. The first time we were in Vintage Gamer, Nick wasn't even there, and I was having a good laugh with a couple of his staff, and they were just talking to me. They weren't pressurizing you or anything. It was good laugh, and that's what it needs. It needs somebody to have good customer service and have the ability to have a laugh for me.
A couple of points here. Pedro said conversation don't pay the bills, which is, I can sort of see that angle. He sees it from both angles as a consumer, as a hand-rubbing merchant. Steve says indie places will always be a little higher. It's the same with vinyl indie stores, be a couple of quid more than Amazon, but it's worth it in my opinion if it's a good store and it's nice to shop there. Again, Dale says James at Doorway to Darkness gave me the keys to all the lock cabinets 10 minutes into arriving and full-on combo most of the time.
He did that with Al as well.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
He did that with Al as well. Admittedly, me and Al had been there once, so he knew who we were. But in what Steve's saying, I get where he's coming from, but not all independent shops are like that. There was a couple that we were in the north where they were cheaper than CEX and Game would be for things. So sometimes it's swings and roundabouts, I guess, is what I would say.
James says you can't shut up the bloke in my local game. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
It used to be like that in Sheffield. When it was at the bigger, like back when we used to have Game Station and Game. It was like the bigger shop was Game, and the people who worked in there was really knowledgeable then. And it's back when they used to sell a bit of retro stuff there as well. And you could have really good conversations with people there. But the game that's in there now, it's just there's no soul to it anymore. Just like you ask for something and they don't know what it is and stuff like that. Anything that's more than 5 years old, they haven't got a clue. And it's just.
I went to see CEX in Blackburn today, and I took 3 original Xbox games to the till, and I said, "Can you tell me if you've got the manuals for these?" And he stirred a hole right through me as if to say he didn't know what the manuals were. I mean, the guy must have been about 20, if that. So I'm assuming that it's I don't know. I guess I'm getting old.
It's part of the problem with retail at the minute is the fact that a lot of the time in retail now you don't get full-time staff, and it's all just like a rotation of like 15-hour-a-week students that don't care about what they're doing. They just want like a bit of spending money. So it's just the way our retail is now. You don't get the passion anymore because no one's there as a career anymore. We used to have a guy in Sheffield. Me and my wife referred to him as Game Station guy because he worked. He was a manager at Game Station for ages before it shut down, and he was like so passionate and knew everything about every game you mentioned. When I remember the day that Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe came out, he turned up to work dressed as Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and he was just like, that was just a costume that he had. He'd not like hide it for the day or anything. And it was it was really cool to talk to him back then, but you don't seem to get that nowadays.
I don't know. I find in CXs, obviously you get the odd few people that are just there for the money and stuff like that, but I find quite a lot of them, they're all a bit alternative. They're all into stuff. They're like into geeky culture.
Oh yeah,
whether or not that's games or movies. They're usually into something that you could probably chat to them about. It's just that when we're coming in for retro games, they don't know that because they're too young. Because, I mean, to be honest, if you're like 40 years old and you're working at Game still, Game or CX, there's something wrong with you.
I'm living the dream.
Well, it used to be the dream for me once upon a time. But yeah, no, like people are kind of like they don't know what our stuff is. Us people are going in for retro games. We're only a small like percentage of actually who goes in for retro games. But no, actually, I don't mind CEX to be honest for like the staff,
no, I don't,
and the customer service. And I don't know if it's just that I'm lucky that the ones near me are okay. Like I say, you get the odd few ones. I mean, I used to get ones that, like you say, every time we took a disc in with a slight scratch, you'd be like, "Not you, a fucking game." Rejected. It was like rejected before you even look at it and stuff like that. Yeah. But like I say, it's just the odd few people that are a bit like that.
Yes, CEX is better than Game in that respect because it is a very sort of hipster kind of alternative place to work. But talking about like Game and stuff though nowadays, it's just there's nothing there. There's no soul at all, and you tend to find in our CEX, at least in Sheffield, that most of the staff there are just like they're just waiting for like a wild fashion photographer to jump out from behind a bush or something. They're all sort of between serving every customer, they kind of have to stop and have a pose for a little bit first, and sort of have a little break, have a little rest because it were hard work serving that customer. But I don't know. That's just Sheffield one.
To be honest, I've seen that some of the customers that go into Game, they are hard work.
Yeah, ours is in CEX. They're like 80% of the customers in there are just smackheads trying to sell their DVDs so they can buy more smack. So.
Pedro goes to HMV a few times a week, spends loads. He gets whack of banter, although the younger ones there are all into rubbish music and dreadful films. Young people shouldn't be allowed to work front of house, keep them in the backs peeling spuds or mopping floors.
Does Pedro like anything?
I don't know.
I don't think he likes himself either.
Rach loved the shop that she used to go to back home, long since gone now. Bought loads of PS1 games there at the time. You'd always have to take the man and the disc out to inspect them and then say, "Look at that, like new, that is." I love that. Brilliant. Rach works in retail and hates customers. Yep, I know exactly what you mean. Yes, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Mike says at our local CEX for us, they were shocked that somebody wanted to buy a PS3 game for £40 from them. I think they were probably shocked somebody wanted to buy something in there because they seem to have all the same stuff every time I go in there. Joe, she's working in retro game shops. They were good times. Doesn't Stu Generation Pixel work at a CEX, Eddie?
Well, I think he must only be about 20 years old, though, isn't he?
Where have we got? CEX and Gamer, a mixed bag near me, says Danny. And Ray says she was stunned to find a game shop in Sports Direct. If it's anything like the one that Al Ball and they found, then
they're all going into Sports Direct now.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
We used to have a game in our Debenhams in town.
Yes, I do.
Just randomly in a corner.
But I mean that one
you would expect, because that's a store for everything.
But it's all
but it was kind of like you have your sport people and then you have your gamers. They don't usually mix. They really don't.
But I mean, that was a counter, wasn't it? It was a counter with a couple of games behind it. That was the game store in that.
We actually had a little partition in Debenhams, which was actually branded as Game, the shop, and it was just a corner of a shop was cordoned off with a game sign on it. It was weird.
Yeah. It's probably because they didn't want to associate the customers that was going into there with the rest of the store. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Stu said he's only 19, apparently.
See, look, I wasn't far off.
Yeah, plus 31, says Dylan. So, same question to you then, Eddie. What attracts you to an independent game shop? What's a big thing for you when you go in there that you couldn't get experience-wise in other game shops?
Well, the thing is, it's got to be stock. You're not going to go to you're not going to go to any kind of store that's not going to stock the stuff that you want. And you might go there for the first time to scope it out, but you're not going to ever go back if the stock is substandard. Like if you're going to get dodgy discs all the time, or everything looks like it's been buried and then dug back up again. I've seen quite a few stores like that. And I'm not saying, and the thing is, it's retro games. A lot of stuff is like that, so it comes with the territory. But some stores, you can tell they take it in, clean it up, and really do just resell you something in a good way. And that kind of store, that's really good. But I don't know. I think we was talking about you were talking about the one in Morecambe. I think they've got the formula really well at the moment, and I think it is basically a lot of gamers now want modern and retro, and you either go to a store that's either one or the other, and just don't cater for everyone. Whereas Morecambe was bang on middle for everything. They're 360, PS4, all that stuff was really well represented. It didn't just have an abundance of it that just was the scraps of everything. It had an abundance of medium titles and high-end titles as well. And I think more stores need to do that really. And as well, the retro stuff, that was really high-end Master System, PS1, just everything. It just had something across the board for everyone, because I think gamers now, you don't really collect for one thing, because it's hard to collect for one thing nowadays. It's so expensive. So everyone just collects for a bit of everything. And I think stores need to sort of take that on board, a bit like in Morecambe. You'll get a lot more repeat custom, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Some excellent points there, mate. Banana Retro, good evening to you. Not a name I've seen in here before. Still messing in my head that PS2 and Xbox are still classed as retro. I mean, I guess they are, but it just makes me feel old. And Joe says, that's why I love the retro game shop in Brighton. Always has so much stock, and they always have something new in. And again, I find that with my local independents as well. Sean, just see if you're still awake, first of all. And secondly, he's been sitting there very, very quietly. What about yourself? What's the big attraction for that draws you into these independent shops?
Basically, a bit of what both Paul and Eddie have said. I mean, stock-wise, it's you always seem to find the quirkiest stuff, or the the rarer stuff that's related to games, certain games, limited editions and that, than you would find at Game and CEX. I mean, CEX do a little bit of limited edition stuff and what have you, but to me, I don't think they do it like the independent game shops do. Such as that plushie that you found, Eddie, that octopus thing. You know, you're not going to find that in Game. You would have thought. But
saved the world, you know.
Yeah. You what?
He saved the world. The
Oh,
octopus that saved the world.
Yeah. People used to think it was a cheerleader, but it wasn't. No, it was the octopus.
Well, yeah. I mean, I must admit, I only did like a day and a half on this year's road trip. But I honestly wasn't expecting to find a thing, and I came away with quite a few bits actually, and yeah, a few limited edition COD games, and I mean that soundtrack CD I got from Saw Thumbs. I certainly won't have found that in CEX or Game, big stores like that. But yeah, and like Paul says as well, it's the approachability of the people running the places, as already has been said. You know, you can have a chat and talk forever about games and that, and they do if you know, as long as there's nobody else in shop waiting to be saved, they'll spend time with you chatting about certain things. God, we must have had a good hour talking in doorway to darkness, didn't we? About Pokemon, I think.
Yeah, that was the only problem. It was about Pokemon.
But yeah, I just find that they're the main things that attract me to independent shops, mate. But
yeah. Okay. Pete, same question to you.
For me, because I don't get to them very often, you know, most of the time if I go out at all, it's just places like CEX and Trade Tours. It's a day out. It's like a day out for me, going to a decent game shop. It's like most of the time I come away with nothing. I don't really collect anymore because I moved more onto like emulation and EverDrives and stuff like that. So, but it's just nice to go and see what kind of things, you know, turn up, see what kind of prices people are charging for stuff. And it's just a lot of fun to just flick through the shelves. It's like a library sort of thing for people who like books. A retro game shop is that kind of thing for us. And it's the same sort of deal when I go to like Doncaster Market and stuff like that. It's a day out. And like Eddie said, it can be a social thing as well. Because God knows I don't get much of a social life by choice. So, yeah, that's basically my reasoning behind it. It's just to have a nice day out and look at things that I'm interested in.
Yeah,
can I just say as well? Can I just add, similar to what Pete, you know, there's for me as well now with independent, if especially ones I've never been to before, there's an air of excitement about going in there, and you know, am I going to find something that you know that really takes me fancy? Kind of a bit like a kid, really, before you get in there, you know, a little bit of excitement. You don't get, well, I don't get that walking into a CEX. I usually know what to expect to find in them shops. But these independent shops are like little Aladdin's cave. So, you know, there's always that chance that you're going to find something that you would never find anywhere else.
I'm not going to lie, I'm getting really excited when I go to CEXs at the moment. And I think it's because I've changed the way I collect a little bit, because I love my PS4. And I love the fact that they have one price for the game. And there's usually a few different special editions. So they'll price it up as a normal price game. So it's like I love finding these like special editions for the same price as like just a bog standard one. That's my new excitement. It's really probably not very exciting for most people, but I love it. It's like you say, it's like not knowing what you're coming into.
Yeah.
The problem with that is with CEX, at least I always check online what they've got before I go in. So
that's what I do.
That's not going to help. That's not going to help because
with all the different types.
It's like where is it? This one here. This was priced up as a single game. It's just a normal standard one, and it's like a big fancy special edition that's worth a lot more. And that's what I love at the moment. That's my excitement. Not very thrilling, is it? But it's for me.
but quite a few people have noticed that they've dropped a few clangers in CX recently. So you turn up and perhaps you have done your research beforehand and found they've got a certain copy, and you get there and find out that it's not actually as listed. I mean, Gurney got that Super Off-Road on the NES, which was down as an unboxed game. It come with a box and the manual. It was obviously a bit battered, but they brought it in as unboxed. It was listed on their website as unboxed, and they sold it to him at the unboxed price. So I agree that sometimes you can go in there and find something which is not what is listed. And I used to make a list of CX stuff, and then I stopped doing it. I thought I'll just go in and surprise myself. Like, it's a bit, as Eddie said, it's a bit thrilling to find something when you walk through the door. I'm just going to catch up with some comments, and then
I did what Pete did.
Grab a drink.
If I was going to my local one, I would do what Pete did. But when we were on the road trip, it was like, well, on all of them, I didn't even bother looking what stock places had. It was just a case of, well, I'll go in and see what's there and see if I need it. That surprise.
With me, my collecting is like so small now that it's mostly at the minute it's PS2 light gun games, and that's it. And I only need 5, I think. So it's not hard for me to just check stocks before I go in, really. Before I was the same. I'd go in and look for anything that caught my eye, but now it is literally just sticking to a list for me. So that's just the way I do it.
Yeah, I suppose the other problem about CX for me is they don't stock arcade machines. So how am I supposed to get them?
Oh, that's your current vein at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, until they start doing those in there. Pedro said, when you're taking someone's time, you've got to get something you feel obliged to buy something. Banana Retro says, I'm almost fully emulation now. Truth is, I pick up 10 C64s that were broken for 50 quid and fix them. Now you can't get a single broken one for that. Nice says, in my local game shop, guy who works there is a massive on Dreamcast stuff, knows all about the unreleased games, used to work with Wave Games to make some of the art for their new releases, also used to get some other gossip as well. Both Joe and Pedro were very impressed with that box set you showed off there, Eddie. And Dale says, anybody been down to Retro Games HQ in Swindon? Pete, the owner, is awesome. Shop is ever expanded too. Now, I was in Swindon actually last weekend, but I wasn't on a game hunt as it was, so I didn't get a chance to. But I know you speak highly of that one, Dale. I'm going back to that sort of experience. The reason I like going into these independent shops is because I like to just plough through what's there, and I can guarantee every single time I go in, I think I've checked through something, and then I find something that I see the last time I was in there, and I mostly I did it yesterday. I won't spoil it because I did a Pickets video for it, but there was something in there I thought, how did I miss this last time around? And I thought I've been through this so many different times. I just found something completely different. But I thought what I'd do yesterday, I thought I'd do an old-fashioned game once. I'll go around the charity shops and CEX and whatever. And the first place I went to was an absolute waste of time. And I thought, well, do I really want to go back somewhere else and try and do the same thing elsewhere? I thought, you know what? No, I'd actually have to take a different route to get to there. But I thought I'll go to my local independent. And lo and behold, I had a much better experience there than I would have got anywhere else for the rest of the day, and got way more stuff than I would have dreamed of getting elsewhere. So, it's always an experience going there. You always find something that you've missed first time around, or just has come in, or you hear them say, "I'll just put that on the shelf this morning," or "That came in yesterday," or "We've had this in since you were last here." It's always an experience going in there.
To be fair, you're quite lucky. You live in the independent game store capital of the UK, really, don't you? How many game stores, retro game stores, are local to you?
Well, I think I've said this before. I think there's at least 6 in a 5-mile radius, which is amazing. You could just spend one day. I mean, we did. I mean, Malloy is in the chat, and we did that game on a couple. We did 4, I think it was, and I know James Retro Import Game was with us for a couple of them. But yeah, we just improv. Thought we'd just go to one place. I mean, we're going about 3 or 4, so it's easily done. We have that many decent ones near here. We are very lucky. But again, it's because all, with the exception of Pete, and who hopefully will come down soon. But you've all been down to go round these shops, and you've made the trips down from where you're all over a couple of hours away. You've actually come down. That's how far you travel down to come look at these shops.
But I think as well, what works with down there is they actually, all the stores work within themselves. They all recommend each other. They all make it an experience of, if you're coming down to the Midlands, you've got all this to come to. And I think that's what really works well down there. Whereas if you've got a game store that's not got another game store nearby, no one's going to go travel up to you. Whereas it's great for the Midlands because you're going to, if you can't find anything in the first game store, you might get something in the second or the third. And it's, right. I think that's quite good. It works really well.
They always ask when you go in. They say, "Have you been anywhere else? Oh, you've been to so and so's. I'll be spent all your money there." Then they always say that.
I was just about to say that, Ross, because when we were on the Midlands one, me and Al, when you joined us, every shop we went into, they then said, "Well, have you been to see X, Y, and Z?" And it was the same the last time I was down on my own when I went to see Nick and and then Dana. It was actually when Dana was opening his shop, and then I went to see Richard and they all recommend each other's shops because they all know that we're not all going to spend money. We're going to spend money anyway, but we're not all going to. They're not going to have everything that everybody wants. And it's great in that local area that you've got.
We are very lucky. I didn't realise how lucky it was going to be,
Yeah, very lucky.
Right. So we've got half an hour left. There is one question I wanted to ask, which probably will not say puts a finishing point on this, because I like to get everybody else's opinion at the very end. But obviously, given the situation we're all in at the moment with this impending cost of living crisis, what do you think the future is going to hold for all these independent shops? Are they going to be able to hold their own? Are they going to start disappearing from the high street? They have retail shop fronts, some sell through eBay, Facebook, etc. Are we likely to see more independent game shops? Are they, where do we see the future going? I'll start with Pete on this one.
It's, working in retail is, even for me, because I work in like major retail, it's starting to get worrying. So I can't imagine what it's like for someone who owns an independent business. I know plenty of people who've been like either laid off or temporarily laid off or, otherwise. And when you're selling something that's really not essential, I can see a lot of them going under. I think the more established ones, like Game and Movie, like Sawthumbs, like Vintage Gamer, I think they might be able to scrape through. But these sort of younger ones, I think probably will feel like the effects of it really badly unless something happens. But something has to happen, surely. It really does.
Because Pedro alluded to earlier, potentially, we on the verge of sort of some of these prices that have been so high for so long starting to drop. I noticed this yesterday when I was in CEX in Dudley. Some of these PS2 games that a few months ago were priced around 40-50 quid had basically halved in price, and they were now selling them at 20 to 25. Same question to you, Eddie. Where do you see the future of this line?
So I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know how to survive anyway, especially when they've got like staff that work there with them, like a few of them do. Like, even when they're at the busiest, I can't see that many sales that happen. I know the big ticket sales, but they've also had to spend big to get these big ticket items sometimes. And it's literally like, don't understand how they've got the money to do so unless they already own the building outright somewhere else or something. So they've got like little overheads. That's the only way I can see them surviving. But yeah, the cost of living, like, it's going to be nuts. I think there's going to be a lot of places closed, gaming and non-wise. Everything's getting forced online, and that's the sad truth of everything. It really is.
As we've alluded to, one of the great things is actually being able to go into these places and inspect, handle, go through in great detail what's actually there and to get the proper condition. A few people have added comments about this one. Just very quickly, Zed's Dead One says nearest to me is Rewind Collectibles and Games in Ashton under Lyne. Banana Retros. I'm not sure whether you're watching a bit behind this one. We did say hello earlier, but thanks very much for your comments this evening. Pedro says it'll be time to buy up games, though it'll probably stay at Atari prices from then on out.
Yeah.
Trev's here from Rock and Roller. Hi, Trev. No retro game shops near me apart from CEX. We'll have to go to Birmingham. We are officially in a recession. Well, there is no doubt about that at the moment, I think. Those with expensive collections that pay big money for games, I'd suggest to flog them quick. All the economists worth their salt have predicted something akin to the Great Depression. That's depressing. Exactly. Joe said, exactly, I don't know how they survive. That's why I fully support. I don't like to knock them down, especially since it's okay, decent prices already. Sean, future of independence.
I mean, it's hard to say because I don't really know that much about businesses and the workings of them. But I mean, do they seem to be slowing down at the moment? Because Dainster's just had a new shop front put up, and like I said, there's certain shops that are willing to expand. They're wanting to expand because they've got that much stock. So, is it slowing down?
Doesn't Dana sell like cocaine in the back office though? And that's how isn't that how he survives?
Yeah.
I don't know about selling it. Maybe he sells his own words in the back office.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't suffer with inflation going as it is and cost of living and that. I mean, I'm going to agree with what you've already said. It does, look that some of them might struggle, but it is open the don't. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know the workings of businesses. So as long as we keep supporting them, maybe they'll just hang on in there. Maybe ride this out. Hopefully, it won't last forever.
Yeah, it can't last forever. It really cannot.
Recession caused by cost of living will make game prices drop. Lots of people will be selling. Agree the bigger retro shops will be the ones that pull through. Rach is keeping it real by saying, luckily my collection consists of crap games. They stayed at 1986 prices.
Exactly.
Yeah,
most of my collection is on this shelf here. It's not worth a fucking thing.
I've got that ball of wee behind me. That's worth what I paid for it.
All these green spines, everybody keeps telling me they're worth fuck all as well. Please.
At least yours have got spines, though. Mine are supposed to.
Pedro says we're always with negativity. It's true, though. No, you are making some very good points there, mate. It is a very real situation. There's usually an upturn of frivolous purchases before the recession truly hits. Banana Retro said, if you've got the money, you're about to be able to clean up, but for most, it will be hard to buy and hard for the stores to survive. Danes actually sells fishing equipment in the back. There we go.
I know what it's all about now.
Yeah. Paul, what about yourself?
It's a difficult one because we've seen Insanity games shut down recently. We've seen Predator games shut down recently. Both reasonably. Insanity was a very good game shop when we were there, Sean. The one where you thought Wooly Weeble was the owner.
Oh, that one. Was it shut down?
Yeah, they've got their arcade, and their arcade is doing well, but they had a lot of stock and they were selling at reasonable prices. I have a feeling that the ones that will survive are going to be the ones that are in cheaper towns. So, in your local town, Russ, I guess probably you're going to be similar to me in terms of based on the geography and based on everything that there is, that the rents and stuff won't be as high for these businesses. I can see guys like Thumbs or potentially Super Game Shack in Leicester maybe struggling because they're in the city centres and it's expensive. But yeah, I would hope that a lot will survive, but I've got to agree with Eddie. A lot of it's going online, and if you don't have an online presence, are you going to survive? I don't think so.
No, it's very true.
I mean, even stores like Saw Thumbs and stuff like that, they have like eBay store pages as well where they sell some of the stuff on there.
They're constantly selling stuff over Facebook as well.
Yeah.
But having worked in retail through lockdown, I know that we benefited from having a site where people could buy stuff. That more or less kept us going through that entire period, and quite a lot of people did, and we were very grateful for it. James said if people need money due to the cost of living, they might want to sell collections to raise cash, which will surely make prices drop due to increase in supply. Well, that is basic economics at the end of the day, and I think Pedro was alluding to this earlier as well. That's pretty much what people are going to do, and that people are no longer dumping stuff into charity shops and trying to get rid of it because they think they've got no idea what it's worth. People are now, if they're going to get rid of it, they want to see if there's any value to it. And all of a sudden they're going to start selling it, and we're going to see people trying to sell more and push all these things onto the market. Danny said it's going to be tough, but hopefully the indie shops will pull through.
There with us, but even charity shops are doing it now. When they get stuff in, it's not going on the shelves; it's going on eBay because they tend to make more money off of it.
Yeah. I mean, one charity shop I went in yesterday was asking £5 for FIFA 14 on the 360.
What?
Yes.
The
That's why I went to the independent game shop near me afterwards to buy some games.
The thing with what Paul was saying earlier, though, about like the lower rent areas are likely to survive more because they're paying out less. They've also get less footfall. It's like places like York, it's a massive tourism thing. And you just get more passing customers who will just drop in and maybe buy something. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that way.
That said, though, Pete, he's on the periphery, so I don't know whether he would. So his rent will be high, but he's not going to get a massive amount.
I've never actually been myself, so I'm not actually sure where he is. But I was like thinking that I did know where it was, but I'm thinking of Travelling Man, the board game shop. So you could be right there.
It's quite funny, like in the School of Thought, like where is the best premises? Because you could be in the town centre where you get the highest footfall, or like people like Doorway to Darkness, they're actually like middle of nowhere, and even off the main road where it's like impossible to find. It's like I don't like. And same with Dana's store. It's like it's just not where you would expect a game store. However, they choose to be there for certain reasons, and it's because like they know that the people that find their way there are going there for a reason of actually buying stuff that they want to buy, like rather than just random people or possibly people coming in to do a bit of thieving. So it's finding that right like balance between the best location, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah,
especially they benefit massively from the Doncaster gaming market. So I went there consciously after the Christmas one, the December one. I went to Doorway to Darkness to see what it was like in plans for us to do this Northern road trip that we were doing. And it was rammed, absolutely rammed. So he must get a lot of footfall from that as well, that will benefit him. So
there's two of us near me which have got terrible in terms of places of parking, because you can't actually park outside the shop. One's in a very, very busy area, which is Sega Supplies. Having said that, they've been there for about 30 odd years, so they haven't done too bad out of it. So it can't be too bad. But the other one, which is Joypad Joy and Games, which is a really nice little shop, but you just can't park there because it's the shop front is right literally on a bus stop, and that's all there is to pull into. There's very little places to put your car into. You have to park a few streets down and around the corner to do it. So, but
that'll help with the diet, though, Russ. That'll help with a bit of
and it's uphill as well. So yes, you'll be perfectly all right for that. It's good thinking. Now.
So what we need these retro gaming shops to be built on the top of mountains so that we all get fit as we're going up to buy things.
I tell you something, if you told Al there was a retro game shop at the top of that mountain you went up to, he'd be done there a lot quicker.
I don't know. He was not impressed with that first bit of hill
the one that he told us to drive up as well.
A few years back, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Sheffield. It's like the old dry ski slopes on like the massive hills. I like scaled one of those hills for a free PS1 a few years back. It will work.
Oh dear. Right. What else we got in the comment? There we go. Rach was saying I wonder whether gaming markets will become more common as the rent will be on an ad hoc basis. Banana Retro says we had a smart meter fitted, it broke, stopped sending readings, we phoned them through, went from £250 in credit to £50. Doesn't feel smart. That's why I won't have one in the house. I will not have one at all.
Oh, we got one. It's brilliant.
I have one. It's working perfectly. Yeah. No,
I've had a few people who've had a completely different experience with it, but it's how it is. Dale says city centre location, definitely tricky. Super Game Shack, as Paul said, in Leicester is amazing, but literally gets daily theft attempts, at least when I was there last year. James is here from It's Much More. Good evening, James. Hope you're okay. Good to see you here. Start drinking in Wetherspoons, you burn off a pint going up and down the stairs to toilets in those places.
It's true, isn't
Oh, dear. I do think we'll see more new retro stuff like the Mini Amiga and C64 Mini, fairly economical way of doing it.
Have you seen the new Mini that's coming out? I meant to mention this in the group chat. The Sharp thing.
Yeah, 68,000.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, that's the system that like programs most of the arcade games that we all know and love.
Yeah. It was like a really old early 90s gaming PC thing from Japan.
Yeah.
And they're doing a mini of it.
68,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting one?
I'm okay.
I'd get one, yeah.
Of course you're getting one. Yeah.
James says there's an independent game shop in Nottingham called Parallel Universe. He's off to Lincoln on Friday. I'm sure I remember there is one there which was half decent the last time I visited.
So that's
gone now.
I think if you're in a town that's got a university town, I think you might stand a chance of surviving if you're a mix of modern and retro, like Eddie was saying, because you'll get the students who will want the modern stuff, but you also get those that are, have been playing on their parents' retro things as well. So like in Nottingham, big university towns like that, I think you would survive. Yes, your rent would be high, but you stand the chance of getting a lot more footfall.
Okay, which was that shop then in Lincoln?
I don't know what it was called. It's closed last summer, I think it was, or the summer before. You
might need to plan your trip then, James. Look into that. But it's been the ones in Derby and Leicester, which we spoke about earlier.
But if we did take Al there would have been lots of hills for him to climb up, because Lincoln is very hilly.
Yeah, Lincoln's hilly.
That's why we need to get to Glasgow, Eddie. There's not very many retro gaming shops, but Glasgow's hilly as hell. You don't think about it, but it is.
But you don't remember it because of all the Buckfast that you're drinking. That's why. Gets you faster up them hills.
Speaking of Buckfast, Sean, where's the soup?
Say it, mate. I've got it.
Oh, he's on the soup.
Let's have a quick look.
Strawberry and lime. Dragon soup.
There we go.
7.5. It's all right. Enjoying it.
It should be for $2.99 a can. There you go.
Did you have the other one as well?
No, I ain't had that yet. Or I ain't had my This East Techno Sex. I ain't had that yet. So. That's for next podcast.
So, anybody got anything else to add before we finish up? Obviously, we've tried to produce a balanced argument. We have touched on some of the negative aspects of it. We didn't want it to be a case of just coming on here and running them down, and because we all support them in every way that we can. And we try to give that. Obviously, talk about how much we enjoy shopping there. Is there anybody got anything to add at all before we start to wind up?
Everyone should go to your local independent and buy at least one game in the next month. How's that sound?
Independent October?
Independent October. There you go. That's a start for you.
like it.
And when you go buy the game, just say the TNB sent you.
Yeah. What are you saying,
And
Pete?
can you
What
get a
are saying
discount?
So we should have done that in July, really, for Independence Day, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we missed that one, didn't we? Yeah. No, that's a good idea. No, we should take that idea of go and buy games from your independent shops in October and support them and show them that what we've spoken about here today is how much people actually think and care about them. I think it's a very good idea, Eddie. These are great ideas, don't you?
They sometimes come out of me. I don't know what it is. I get this weird feeling, and then it just pops out.
I've heard that, but yeah. No, yeah, that's a great idea. I think we could try and get behind that. Yes, tell them the TNB sent you. That's it. Anybody else with anything to add?
I mean, a lot of people who are listening are going to be fellow YouTubers, I guess. If you go to your local independent, do a tour of the shop. Just promote the hell out of them. It'd be great for everybody to just give all of these shops publicity and not asking for a massive discount for your YouTube videos. I'm lucky. I would say I'm lucky to have probably been in 3 of the best game shops in the UK, in my opinion. Games HQ was the one in Swindon that Dale was talking about. It's absolutely amazing. That's the one that had the Nintendo floor shown when we were there. I've been to Vintage Gamer. Nick is probably the best place I've been to in terms of the sheer amount of stock. And then we went to the Lee's Games in Morecambe, and his stock is great amount of stock, but stuff that you wouldn't see generally in a lot of places. And these places need promoting, and they need, even if one person tells one person and that one person tells 3 people, word of mouth and stuff, that for me is the important thing. We should be promoting the hell out of them and not running them down.
Yeah. Very much agree with that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good idea. What's everyone's top 3 game stores independent in the UK?
Well, I've only been to 6. They're all around here, so I'll be offending somebody if I say with my top 3.
That would have been like 4, so it'll be really offending somebody. I've only been to 4, and it's like emotional enough today.
Isn't Retro World's a short drive away for you, is it not, Russ? That would be
probably. Yeah.
Everything is.
Everything's a short. I'll have to check some more out. I'm just
what are your top 3 then?
Hang on. Sorry, someone's ringing me. Yeah, so it's been a bit of a busy day at work today, so that's why I was on a bit late. I don't know. Vintage Gamer has to be number 1. It really is, for both service and stock. It's just like you're going to go in there and get something good.
Yeah,
and then Old School Gamer number 2. Again, same reasons. It's just incredible stock, and they're like literally a stone's throw away from each other. So,
yep.
Oh, I'm gonna have to say that. So I'm gonna have to go.
All right, no worries, mate.
We'll never know that.
So that was Eddie's top 2 game shops. There. I'll just get some of these comments in very quickly. James visited Store Thumbs once, smelt like someone had been on the good stuff, so he walked out. Is that before they were doing, or after they were doing the pricing? I don't know. Retro Rewind, good evening to you. Nice to see you here. Rob says he wants to know if Ben 10's got a manual. I think he's actually realised he's watching 2 speakers. not to worry, Rob. Nice to know you're watching the stream, mate. Anyway, hopefully we'll have you back here soon and find something for you to come on and talk about. Joe did all the shops in Sussex area. Let's take a look around videos. Got a playlist of those on the channel. Yeah, go across and have a look at those. Banana Retro's off. Thanks very much indeed for popping in. That's great. Danny's off as well. Super, mate. Thanks for being here. Joe's favourite is Magic Whistle Gaming in Brighton. Mike says Entertainment World in Yardley was a good one, but I think they've diverted into all sorts of retro, i.e. vinyl toys. I think I've been to that one.
Yeah, it's not
All
too
right,
far from you. Me and Al were in it before we came across to meet you when we were in the Midlands. So it's a biggish shop. But yeah, it's not. It had a lot of stock, a lot of it.
James said he preferred much Game Smart to Entertainment World, to be honest. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. So.
Yeah, Game Smart didn't have anything that me and I wanted when we were there, James. So.
Oh, there we go. Right, sorry about that. Okay, well, I think people have taken our decision to wind this up as they're all leaving. So I think it's probably a good time because Dale said he's going as well. So that's it. So yeah, we'll call that a stream then, folks. But yeah, I would give everybody some food for thought there and try to provide a balanced argument. That was the main thing. It didn't want to be one of these streams coming on criticising independent game shops. We have to get behind them. If these places disappear, then for a lot of people who do collect the retro stuff, but also these guys sell modern games as well. We're losing a valuable resource on High Street, and I'd like to thank Paul and for bringing the idea up along with our guest who couldn't make it tonight, and hope we'll see them again on here soon talking about something else. And a massive thank you as always to Sean and Pete from the tNb for calling in and contributing to the stream. Always appreciate you guys as always, and we hope to have you back again here very, very soon. Paul, thank you once again for coming on. It's, I think, the second or third time you've been on, and it's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Anytime at all.
That's brilliant. Right, I'll drop you all backstage, everybody, if you'd like to give everybody a wave as you go off, and I'll wrap the stream up. There we go. After they disappear, they all do that. Good ask them to wave. Right, there we go. Yeah, as James says here, long live the indie game shop. That's very well put, James. And as Joe says, well, fully support your local gaming shops. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that anyway. That was a good bit of fun. Like I said, it's slightly not what we perhaps planned as it was going to be because one of our guests had to drop out, but not to worry. I thought that was a good idea. And I think if you look at the price of game stream from about 2 months ago, I think it was, with Dana of Hidden Chest Gaming and this one, and put the two together, I think you get a very balanced argument. So that's a good thing. Next tNb stream is on the 9th of October. And we're just going to turn up and do a stream, as far as I know. Well, I haven't really planned anything for that one yet. I've not really thought about it. But yeah, so it might just be a regular chit-chat about games. 23rd of October, we're going to be doing one on the Dreamcast, which is you've got experience with that one to come and be part of the chat. It's there for you to come in and join. And then we've got 3 shows, 2 in November, 1 at the start of December, where we've got nothing planned for at the moment. So if you want to come on and talk about anything of gaming interest to you, any systems that you particularly enjoy, Rach, I'm looking at you, that I would like to come on and do an Amstrad special at some point. I really would like to come on that. Joe, I'd love you to come on and discuss the subject as well. But anybody who's not been on before, or had they been on before, want to come on again and do it, or come on for the first time, just let me know. Just drop me a line. I'll get in touch with you somehow, and we'll set you. We've got 2 in November, 1 in December to do, and then there's our Christmas special, and that'll be it for this year anyway. So we will see you in 2 weeks' time, same channel, 8 o'clock, tNb Gaming Podcast, episode 65. But thanks to everybody who's been in the chat tonight. Great to see so many people here, got the new people in as well. Fantastic to see you all here. But on behalf of the panel, and myself, this is Director of Bear, checking out, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, have a good couple of weeks, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.